relax, close your eyes, rest in the presence, and hold space.
Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Jai Ganesha Gananata Dayaniti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamare. Jai Ganesha Gananata Dayaniti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamare. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. 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 Omega Dantaya Vidmahi Vakrajandaya Dhimahi Tanno Danti Prachodayat. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. 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 Jai Ganesha Gananata Dayaniti Sakala Vignya Karadura Hamare. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Jai Ganesha Gananata Dayaniti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari. Jai Ganesha Gananata Dayaniti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari. Jai Ganesha Gananata Dayaniti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari. Jai Ganesha Gananata Dayaniti Sakala Vigna Karadura Hamari.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Welcome to our supposedly weekly online global satsang. Actually, we missed 3 of the previous 4 weeks, which is probably why it may take a little time for people to figure out we're back. But
we think we've missed 3 in a year before.
we had crazy technical difficulties, but we are back. And I think we're doing okay. Yeah, seem to be. Just checking this out because we're back to perfect streaming. I like that. The perfect stream. That's what satsangs are all about. Getting in the perfect stream together. Satsang is a Sanskrit word that means community of truth. Really, we could just call it a spiritual community, but it's a specific kind of community. A satsang is when people are on the path of awakening and the path of the flowering of the heart in divine union come together to share their journeys, to share their crises, their obstacles, to share our strength with one another. When we join together our journeys like this, our spiritual strength is multiplied exponentially, which is kind of important these days. We can actually only go so far on our own. I've read the writings of many hermit monks and mystics who live alone in caves or in hermitages in the wilderness, and they'll tell you that they are deeply connected with the souls of everyone on the path. For us, we can just reach out and join hands across continents. We have people join us from other continents. In fact, Sandra says, abrazos desde Uruguay.
Oh, Sandra.
Yeah, we have family from Uruguay. And so, glad you're here. Wonderful. We have people join us from Europe and Asia, Australia. We have several friends in South America. And but the wonderful thing about this is we can use the internet in a very positive way. It has been problematic, but in this way, this use of the internet, we can transcend geographical distances, political and spiritual boundaries, and link up and join together. As I said, when we do that, our spiritual strength is multiplied. We share throughout first of all, let me just say a little bit more. The Flowering Heart Satsang isn't a formal membership. It's not like that. We come from different spiritual teachers, different spiritual teachings, different spiritual backgrounds. What brings us together is that we're all awakening and flowering into oneness. And because of that, we have more in common with each other often than we will have in common with people from our own temples or churches or ashrams who aren't yet experiencing that awakening, which is the reason you're here tonight. You probably already knew that. We share throughout the satsang transmission of spiritual grace and presence we call the Flowering Heart Blessing. Something that the Divine gave us about 10 years ago. Suzanne and I have been involved in various forms of spiritual transmission for decades. And about 10 years ago, the Divine said, start to share this one. And what we love about it, besides everything, is that it focuses on awakening the source within, God within, the inner divine, the light within, however you understand that. Some spiritual transmissions draw us into the orbit of some great teacher or something outside of ourselves. This takes us right to the heart. And it's a free gift. It's something that the divine said, don't charge people for this, just give it to them. And let them know if they enjoy this presence, this grace, this light of awakened consciousness, which is what the Flowering Heart Blessing is, a direct transference of awakened consciousness, of divine light. It's not just energy. And we were instructed that if people like it, just tell them when they've received one of these blessings, they're initiated and fully activated to share it. All you need to do is invite the divine to pour it through you as an instrument. And you're soaking in it right now. So if you've made the connection, just invite the divine to pour this grace through you to everyone who joins us tonight, and to the hundreds of people that will be viewing this video over the next week. We generally have hundreds of people that tune in at other times on other days of the week from one Monday to the next, because of where they live, because of their schedules, because of their lifestyle. So we have so many more people actually than are here in person, but you have an important role to play because you are here. And that's to invite the divine to pour the Flowering Heart Blessing through you to everyone who's here with us tonight, and to everyone who ever views this video in the future, whether it's this coming week or next year or 10 years from now. Spirit, which is what this transmission is, spirit is unbounded by time or space. It's always here, now. And so when someone watches one of these recordings way down the road, they feel the same thing that we're feeling, because it's still here and now, whenever you're watching. So if you're watching this a year after we made it and you're hearing these words, let it move you to open up and experience being with us live right now. What else? Well, okay. I don't think we have any other announcements per se. You're always welcome to. Facebook is only letting these recordings stay up for a month now, and then they delete them. We have them, all of them, so we don't lose them. But you can always come back and watch anything on Facebook Live for a month after it's made. And there was an interfaith communion service just a week ago Sunday, or was it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to remind you.
A week ago Sunday, and it was about humility, the key to heaven's door, and freedom from pride and humiliation. I think there is some very helpful teachings there, and it's right up here on Facebook Live. If you're joining us on LinkedIn or YouTube, you can find the recordings of all these at Vimeo.com. And of course, if you're watching us with us tonight on Vimeo.com, then you're in the right place. Just look for the library, and you can search out whatever date. Let's see. The other thing is, please give us, if you're on Facebook Live, a thumbs up or a heart, a love or a like, or whatever emoji suits you. If you're joining us on Vimeo, you need to just open the chat right there on the side of the screen and just type in your name and say hi or namaste. And we go back and we look. I look Suzanne and I, each night when we're done with one of these, and keep going back in, especially during the week after, and see who leaves us a comment or a like or a love, and you get special hugs and blessings if you do that. So please do. We always start with that silent meditation, and then whatever announcements there might be, and we open it then to questions about the spiritual journey. Or answers, if you've got answers, that's great. We want answers. But if there's something you'd like to have more understanding or clarity, inspiration that you've been thinking about or pondering, meditating on. It could be past lives, it could be various kinds of meditation, it could be about awakening or divine union, be about the afterlife. Whatever's on your mind. If you type in the question, if you're at either Vimeo or Facebook Live, we'll answer those questions, and it nudges the divine to pour out to me and Suzanne inspiration to share with you, and we all benefit. Even though our journeys are unique, they parallel in many ways, and when you've been on the path of awakening long enough, you discover that we have the same obstacles, the same plateaus, the same crises, the same breakthroughs. And so if you'll share your questions, listen to that still small voice on the inside. What could I ask tonight that would help me and contribute to the discussion in the satsang? We'll all benefit. So to give you a few minutes to do that, I like to go to a website called inspiringquotes.com. And I was going to share this last week, and we didn't get online.
We spent the hour on technical service chats.
But a group of authors at inspiringquotes.com write these little articles that are always on topic, helpful, and then share quotes from inspired and influential people throughout history that shed light on that particular topic. Tonight, these quotes are about pursuing your passions. And the author of this little article is Joyce Chen, who's a writer, editor, and community builder based in Seattle, Washington. And we've really loved a lot of the articles that she's written. So let's look at this one. Here's what Joyce says about pursuing your passions. Doing what you love is easier said than done. The things we love doing the most, spending time outdoors, traveling, falling down rabbit holes about obscure obsessions, are often not the kind of things that help us pay the bills. I've noticed that. But as any commencement speaker or successful startup founder will tell you, pursuing your passions is one way to ensure you make the most of your life. Passion is ultimately what keeps us going through hardships and helps imbue our day-to-day life with meaning and clarity. Without it, we can feel lost or frustrated. With it, anything is possible. Passion is the driving force behind success and happiness, and it pushes us to reach our fullest potential. Perhaps your passion is meeting new people, perfecting an age-old recipe, discovering emerging filmmakers, or teaching yourself how to code. Regardless of what you're passionate about, there are always ways to pursue it, even if not in a professional capacity. In fact, turning a hobby into a hustle can sometimes dim the excitement we have for doing something just because we enjoy doing it. If we can find other creative ways of integrating passion into our lives, though, everything else will fall into place. These 13 quotes serve as reminders of why it's important to not only identify our passions, but also actively pursue them. Everyone needs a North Star, after all. If you haven't yet identified your passion, try taking notice of what makes you feel alive and go from there. So here we go. You have to be burning with an idea or a problem or a wrong that you want to right. If you're not passionate enough from the start, you'll never stick it out. Steve Jobs. What really matters to you? The fact that you're alive means you've been given a reprieve to think deeply about that question. How will you use what matters in service to yourself, your community, and the world? Oprah Winfrey. There is no passion to be found in playing small, in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. Nelson Mandela. What is passion? It is surely the becoming of a person. Are we not, for most of our lives, marking time? Most of our being is at rest, unlived. In passion, the body and the spirit seek expression outside of self. Passion is all that is other from self.
Who's that?
John Borman. My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive. And to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style. Maya Angelou. All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Walt Disney. If you can't figure out your purpose, figure out your passion. For your passion will lead you right into your purpose. T.D. Jakes. If you don't love what you do, you won't do it with much conviction or passion. Mia Hamm. It's a great name, Mia Hamm. Without passion, man is a mere latent force and possibility, like the flint, which awaits the shock of the iron before it can give forth its spark. Henry Frederick Amiel. I have no special talents. I am only passionately curious. Albert Einstein. Nice stuff.
Mm-hmm.
In our time, which we used to spend a lot of time in India going back and forth, passion was brought up a lot as being essential for spiritual growth. That we needed three things to really grow spiritually. One is a strong passion. And for that we were told, you're lucky. I don't think you're lucky. I think we've all got a passion to be discovered. But they said in India, you're very fortunate if you have one strong passion in your life. We have thousands and thousands of desires. But what's a passion? I mean, desires come and go. And they can get us into trouble, and they can create attachment. And, Buddha said that craving is the root of all suffering. But a passion is a desire that cannot be denied. It becomes the compass for your life. It becomes the driving force behind creativity. A small desire won't do that. It has to be a powerful, strong passion. And to try to help us get an angle on that, people that didn't already identify passion, they'd say, consider a mother's love for her child. That's passion. Someone that is deeply in love. But here we're talking about the kinds of passions, and those are passions as well. A passion that will be the guiding force or the North Star in your life. So discover your passion. And T.D. Jakes, who's a great preacher, incidentally, said, I think he's the one that said, if you don't know your purpose, pursue your passion and it will take you right to it. So we need passion joined with right action. Just having a passion for something to happen won't make it happen. We have to make dedicated, consistent, appropriate right action. A lot of people take the wrong actions, and that doesn't help. So it's important that we make right action, which Buddhism talks a lot about. It's like concerning love, we've heard the expression of looking for love in all the wrong places. So if you're passionate about a love relationship, your consistent efforts must be correct, in line with the spiritual laws of the universe and God's own will and calling in your life. And the third element is grace. Passion plus consistent right effort plus grace equals growth. So passion's very important. And it's very different than when the Buddha said, desire is the root of suffering. He was talking about little desires. He was talking about attachments. He was talking about cravings that we become attached to. The Buddha was passionate about sharing the light of awakening with others. And I think this is something that many of us probably in Satsang share, is a passion toward our own awakening and the awakening of the hearts of others to connection and to oneness. It's essential, not only for our individual future, but for the future of the world.
Looks like we got some questions.
So let's go back and see what we got in terms of possible questions. So, Ekaterina says, I want to ask you for a prayer so that all the different jobs I am doing fall into the right time and don't overlap, please. Okay, sure. The divine's really good at that. So, but yeah, absolutely. You can't do 10 things at once, especially not in your
Different
line
places.
of work. Ekaterina is a very gifted actor. And, so you have to really be focused on each project. So that's a very legitimate request. We will definitely offer it up. And Ekaterina says, from Mexico, abrazos también. Also, yeah, okay. And Michael Christopher says, abrazos from Tampa. Oh, good Lord. And Ekaterina responded, ha, too close. And Michael Christopher said, I'm not close to Mexico. I'm glad you guys are having fun. So Michael writes, why being someone that is somewhat intelligent takes so long to learn these spiritual lessons and or love myself? Well, I don't know. There are different kinds of intelligence. Some people I know that are the most intelligent in terms of IQ are just so dumb when it comes to matters of the heart and spirit, and you're certainly not, Michael. You're very gifted. But our whole life is one long lesson. And I'm not in a hurry to get all the answers. I suppose I'd be done then. Sometimes we come into a particular incarnation to learn certain lessons. And so the whole lifetime is spent And as we gain insight, as we learn those lessons, we become more and more of a light to others. And that's already happening with you. I mean, you are a light to the community in various ways. As a counselor, the groups that you help facilitate and lead, without going into detail. Now, to love yourself, yeah. I think as we gain some healthy detachment from our obsession with ourselves, and as we grow spiritually, we become more and more that witness of our lives, just like you're the witness of other people's lives who are coming to you for counseling, and you have unconditional love for them. And some of them, I'm pretty sure, hard to love. And you have compassion for them. You need to have the same compassion for yourself and love for yourself, which is difficult to do when we're all wrapped up in the self-life. But as we gain a certain detachment, it's like, love yourself, have compassion for yourself just as you are already for the people around you. Having said that, I've heard stuff like that all my life, and you know what I've found, Michael, is that the capacity to love myself is has been and continues to be directly proportional to my openness to receive and experience God's unconditional love for me. I mean, sometimes on a bad day, it just perplexes me why in the world God even puts up with me. But that's what began to change me from the time I was so young, that God embraces us passionately, exactly as we are, unconditionally. And when we begin to experience that love for ourselves, we experience the divine's love for us in reality, something amazing happens in our hearts, and we begin to develop the capacity to have compassion and unconditional love for the difficult people around us. I just noticed spontaneously, I don't like that person, but I really love them. I feel compassion for them. I think I could throw myself in front of a speeding bullet for them, even though they are just unseemly and unpleasant. And where did that come from? That unconditional love is actually our true essence, which is the divine itself dwelling within us, expressing itself through us. The divine already has that passionate, unconditional love and compassion for all beings. So as we dissolve more and more in the divine, we find that capacity to love expressing itself through us. And we discover that self-judgment and self-loathing is melted away in God's compassionate love for us. We've been talking about passion tonight. And the greatest passion is compassion, to feel and have empathy for another, and to passionately share their desire to be free. Give yourself to that.
I think for me too, it was a really important process of systematically just noticing when I was in the mind, because the mind is going to be full of doubt or fear if somebody's going to criticize you or love you or care or reject you or that you're not good enough, all these self-esteem issues. And it's all just coming from the mind. And as I started opening up more to grace and opening up more to unconditional love, I had a greater and greater capacity to, and at first it was kind of brutal. It was just telling my mind to shut up and sometimes throwing the F word in there because I knew that it wasn't truth. It was just coming from the mind and the ego and fear. And just keep returning to the heart, and don't let the mind win, because we know that that's not the truth. And we can think that with our heads, but until we just keep being diligent at returning to the heart, returning to compassion and unconditional love, the mind will eventually quiet down. It'll still pop up and say those things and have those doubts and have those fears, but it's a systematic rooting into the heart space, and like Michael said, opening up greater and greater to that connection with unconditional love of the divine and accepting that in ourselves. The mind's going to have a very hard time accepting it, or not, you know, then it can swing the other way and say, I'm great, I'm perfect, I'm terrific, I'm amazing. And that's still, yes, we are all of those things, but if the ego is feeling all of that, then that's still just another false sense of being anchored.
Pride cometh before a fall.
Yes. So, you know, it's balance, but anytime we're feeling one way or the other, excessive pride or excessive low self-esteem and putting ourselves down, either one of those is the symptoms that we're not coming from unconditional love. Because when you get into that space, and like I said, it's like a muscle, training a muscle. When you first start to realize you're having these thoughts and feelings and the doubts are coming in, just keep systematically returning to the peace inside, to the connection with the divine, to the truth within, is that we are loved unconditionally. And that creates the space to love ourselves. But it can't happen overnight or in a flash second, but from my experience, it's taken time and diligence of just really retraining myself to slip in with grace into the heart when those thoughts or feelings come up.
I think perhaps the first really important lesson that God taught me was that all the things that I didn't love in Michael Milner weren't Michael Milner. Without the whole story, which you've heard before, Michael, I met Christ face to face. And I was so filled with self-judgment and fear. I was very young. I was just beginning to learn. And the presence and the light shining through him shook me to my core. And everything ugly within me just came up in my face. It was so embarrassing because I knew he could see it all. And all of my fear, all my selfishness, all my lusts, all of my anger, all of my lies, it all came up. And these were things I had been trying my whole life to change. I had tried all kinds of extreme spiritual practices and asceticism and wandered, barefoot and lived in the woods, and done really extreme things to try to free myself from this ugly ego that I didn't love. I hated that. And the light that was shining through him shook me so deeply. And as he spoke, all of these pieces began to shake loose and vibrate loose and dissolve from my being. So all these things I had identified with that made me feel sometimes such self-hatred, I felt self-destructive even, and extreme. And I couldn't love me. It vibrated loose, and when he was done, he showed me my true essence, my true being. And none of that was me. I was, as you are, as we all are, we are divine essence expressing itself in a very lovely and unique way through each of us, but we become identified with the ego, mind, body complex. And that's not what we are. We deal with that, but we are that beautiful essence of pure light and pure love And there's nothing not to love there. So if there's something about Michael that you're not loving, it's not you. And so have some compassion, because most of the world is struggling with identifying with these pieces and parts that aren't our true essence. So, love you, man. Daniel Bruce Levin, my brother and dear old spiritual friend, writes, "Love you so much, and so nice to feel your beautiful presence here and feel me in the silence in between your words. I am sending you so much love. I am so happy that we shared Pitzer, and it being the place where we met." Danny and I went to this undergraduate school in California named Pitzer, and we had some amazing experiences together. And Danny taught me so much. And maybe I even taught him a little too. And one day we sat and looked into each other's eyes, and the light became so brilliant that our faces dissolved, and I was sitting looking at myself across the room from inside Danny's body. And Danny was looking at himself from inside my body. We had just merged. And we had some amazing experiences. And yeah, it is the silence between the words, between the thoughts, between the breaths, where we truly, in every instant, are touching into infinite, unbounded space, which is the divine presence. And it's so wonderful, Joe, Kansas, to have an old friend who, I reached out to, I don't know if you remember Chuck Diaz. He also went to Pitzer with us. Chuck has become quite a successful attorney in Los Angeles, and he is a real leader throughout his career in the Latin American community, and quite a bright light when we were at Pitzer. And I felt moved to reach out to him about a year ago. We hadn't talked since I left Pitzer. And I saw a picture of him in a suit on the internet, this attorney, but there was still this light in his eyes. So I sent him an email and said, "Hey, Chuck, remember me?" And he said, "Yes." He said, "Every night I sleep with the Tao Te Ching on my nightstand. And I woke up in the middle of the night last night, and it just echoed through my being, 'Are you kind?'" And then I read the way you sign your email. "However awakened you are you kind?" And he said, "I want you to know that through the years, often, in that space between breaths, I see you." So I went to your I didn't know what you were doing. I went and looked at your website, and he went, "Well, that's perfect." And so, yeah, we have these friends sometimes we may not see for many years, with whom we have shared the silence of God between breaths, between words. And Daniel Bruce Levin, might not look him up. He's quite a man of God himself, and a great presence and teacher. John writes, John Lewis, "Yeah, I'm even starting to feel sorry for Elon Musk," or compassion. Compassion's better. Feeling sorry is like right on the edge of looking down.
Judgment.
Judgment, yeah, exactly. It's like our friend we've been meditating with the last couple of months, Peace Pilgrim, said whenever she sees a person who's dark or embodies certain negative qualities, she came to a place in her life where she was absolutely free from judgment. She said it made her feel sad and just compassion. Even people that tried to kill her, people that tried to hurt her, she just felt sad for them because they were so blinded.
Immature, she calls it.
She calls it immaturity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she also talks about how judgment and and feeling bad for people is damaging to your spiritual self. It hurts you because you're not in alignment with the divine plan of things, which is unconditional love. Everybody has its place and its time and its way. Understanding that.
Indeed. So if you want to just take a little spiritual journey, we encourage you to read Peace Pilgrim, her life and work in her own words. If you go to peacepilgrim.com or .org, well, you'd find her. This book is free. They've been, since her passing in 1981, they've been sending free copies all over the world. It's translated into many languages. And I don't know anyone that has actually just taken the time to read it.
.org.
.org. She didn't sit down to write a book. She walked 25,000 miles for peace and just lived in the spirit, and then kept walking for decades and was a bright light living in divine union. Definitely a living saint. And she'd get postcards along the walk, and she'd always answer people, and people collected it and put together these little things that she wrote over the years, because she would never have written a book. But I don't know anyone who's conscientiously taken the few hours it takes to read this book that it hasn't changed their lives. I'm just saying. So let's dive in deeper. You could close your eyes. And invoke the divine presence within you. This presence we've been talking about that is so passionate about you. It loves you so much, unconditionally, with all your quirks and what you may perceive as shortcomings. This divine being, this presence, lives within you right now and loves you beyond our capacity to imagine, to fully understand. It yearns for you so deeply, for you to be free from suffering, free from the illusion of separation. There is no separation between you and the divine. It is your very essence. In the divine you live, the divine lives in you. It yearns to draw you into the center, into oneness. All suffering is rooted in our feelings of separation and duality. And those are illusions, very powerful ones, in the mind. If you just let go and yield to the divine love that's shining out of the center of your being, it's like the gravitational pull of the sun. It will draw you into itself. All you need to do is give your consent and let go. So do that now. And receive the light that is shining from the depths of your heart into every layer of your being. Let it flood you, fill you with light, dissolve all wrong thinking and feelings and plans and patterns that no longer serve. Let it dissolve the realm of thought and emotion and fill you with divinely inspired ideas, thoughts, feelings, plans. Receive it in your body, and this presence will heal you. and your relationships. And your very presence in the world will be transformed, and you will become a shining light. The light that you already are. Just receive and keep drinking in the blessing, the light that's pouring out within you, pouring out to you. Keep receiving. Imagine that we're sitting in a circle together with our eyes closed. Lift up your hands and open your palms facing forward, and just let us invite the presence to pour the light of the flowering heart blessing through all of us to each other as it flows back to us through all the others in the circle. Visualize the planet Earth in the middle of our circle. Let us take a strong intention that this divine grace flood the hearts of all human beings on planet Earth, to melt away all fear, all hatred. Flood the hearts with the light of union with the divine. And we thank you for ordering Ekaterina's timeline. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So now you could just rest your hands somewhere in your lap. And when you're ready, open your eyes and begin to make direct eye contact with Suzanne and or me. As the light meditation begins, we are flooded with oceans of light and grace and love for you. And it pours through every fiber of our being to you, especially through our eyes, the windows of the soul. As you just keep making direct eye contact with at least one of our eyes, that light streams out through our eyes, in through your eyes, into your heart of hearts, causing the light, awakening, fires of divine love to burn brighter and brighter within you. Just keep looking and listening. meditate with us a few more minutes as the grace settles within us. Now keep meditating as long as you like. And or find a place nearby to lie down in Shavasana. Shavasana is to lie on your back comfortably with your eyes closed and your arms loosely at your sides, with your palms open, turned upward. And just let yourself dissolve with gratitude in the presence. We love you very much.
Much love, light, and blessings.
And we will definitely send healing energy more to you. No doubt. And big hugs to all of you. We love you so much. Know that the divine in us beholds the divine within you. And we bow to you. Namaste.